Mexico is among the most dangerous countries in the world for journalists to work. Jan Albert Hootsen is a freelance journalist and also the Mexico representative for the International Committee to Protect Journalists. Here's his perspective.
The biggest problem facing journalists here is the almost complete impunity. That is something that doesn't only strike journalists, it also strikes other sectors of Mexican society. And the problem is that journalists, they're on the front line. I mean, they investigate, for example, organized crime, political corruption, abuse of power. And when they do that, they anger public officials, they anger members of organized crime. And because none of those crimes well, almost none of them are ever solved, it incentivizes more violence against them. So basically, if you're a bad guy and you want to hurt a journalist, you know that you can almost certainly get away with it. In Mexico, there's not a sort of state-sponsored, central planned campaign against journalists. The problem goes much deeper than that. Now, if you say that public officials and organized crime are both responsible for it, that's true. But one of the issues here in Mexico is that the line between both is often very blurry. Public officials, especially on a municipal and state level, may have ties to organized crime. There may have been candidates nominated by organized crime to join in elections, to participate in elections, to get positions such as mayors or members of state legislations, etc. The lion's share of the victims, they're not famous journalists who investigate corruption in Mexico City. They're very poorly paid journalists working for small media in the States. They often have the least protection, they make a lot less money, and they're the forgotten victims. Of course, I mean, Miroslava Breach and Javier Valdez were well-known journalists working for big newspapers, but usually the victims are unknown. They have very little context among foreign journalists, meaning that their cases are often forgotten, and I think that's one of the major tragedies here, because especially those are the journalists who need the most protection here.